inspired me to make compositions. In high school, I was really into arranging. I had my own jazz combo, and I played in the jazz big band at school. So I really got into the idea of arranging like pop tunes in a jazz style, and just having fun with that. So then when I was looking at university, I was like, what's the closest thing to this? And I saw the composition program. And then once I kind of went into that, I kind of at first had the idea of gathering all this info, like learning all this composition stuff with the goal of arranging. And I still do that sometimes, but I kind of fell in love with composing itself. So now I do that a lot.
I did art from a young age. It was just a way to have some fun and make designs and put what's in my mind on paper or canvas or record something that I thought was
I honestly don't remember, because I think I've been making art since like as long as I can remember. I think it's just the way that I process my emotions and express myself.
I don't really think there was anything in particular. I've just started making art one day and then I just never really stopped. Like I've been drawing since like I can remember drawing things. I don't have a first memory of making art or like something that I was like, yeah, all right, now we're gonna start doing this and I'm gonna make that my personality. It just kind of happened.
I think it was because my parents and grandparents always like gave me pencils when I was little, and I kind of just kept going with that. And yeah, I don't know, just it's always been a thing in my life, I guess.
Seeing video came from watching movies as a child and YouTube videos. I wanted to kind of make fun skits with my friends in the yard. We had characters and I just continued that throughout my childhood and into adulthood.
Same thing, I don't really remember. I think it's just really like a calming process for me, and I just like being able to work with my hands to make images.
Grandpa was a painter, so we would always talk about paintings together, like it was our little thing, and I think that kind of inspired me to try painting more.
Originally, it was just the materials that I had on hand, right? It was like there's pencils around because you're at school, right? So you start doodling on the side of your paper. But now it's just the most familiar material to me. And like, well, I've started to branch out into some other ways, like sculpture and ink brush painting and stuff like that. It's really the most familiar, and I feel the best at it, so I like to make my work like that because that's how I imagine things, right?
I think if I was on a stranded island, I would bring like a sleeping bag and, I don't know, a fishing rod.
I feel like I should say, like, you know, a sketchbook and a pencil, but I'd bring a satellite phone so I could leave the island.
I would bring salt and pepper for all my desert island meals.
I think I would bring a hammock.
A hammock.
Yep. And maybe a friend.
I think my first thought is like a beach towel and like a cooler with some drinks and maybe a sketchbook.
Making art for myself different from the ones in classes. I largely consider it to be the same thing. I will, a lot of the time, just write something for myself if I need to do a project for school, and I'll just kind of sell it in a way that fits the class. And I have the benefit of having a program that's very flexible. Like, they will take anything as long as you put thought into it. So yeah.
Art for myself is very different from classes. I don't really make art for myself, just for classes.
class is different because it usually involves a little more thought and a little more planning and like an end goal, maybe a little more conceptual framework behind it. Whereas when I make art for myself, I'm either just working like intuitively, or I'm just doing something aesthetically pleasing to help myself relax, and I'm not so worried about like the deeper meaning of it. Also, I usually make smaller things for myself than I do for class.
It can be quite similar, but the biggest thing I think is having a deadline. So when I'm making art for myself, I tend to just like keep working on the thing for a lot longer. Yeah, so just like having the structure, I guess, is the biggest difference.
I think the main difference is sharing it with people. Like if you make art for a class, even if you're just in the process of making it still, you're still sharing it with people. People see it, people walk past it. But when I make art for myself, it stays in my room or in my book, right? That's closed, so other people don't get to see it, which I think is an equally valuable thing. I know some people in this program disagree with that. They say that like art needs to be shared for it to be art, and the community aspect of it is like all of art. It couldn't be art without that. But I disagree. I think making art for yourself is really important, and you shouldn't give that up just because you have something that might be more engaging.
My creative process. Okay, let's see. I really like playing around with process as like a part of the art. So sometimes I tend to go in like opposite directions with each project, but I kind of fundamentally approach all my stuff like a song, or like going back to jazz, like a jazz standard. I think about things like songs even when they aren't songs. Like if I'm writing like a symphony, I will still write out in my mind what I think to be the chorus and the verse, and the chord changes, and connected to that but not the same is I like to approach with contour in mind. So a lot of my pieces kind of explore like gradual transformations over time, or multiple layers of smaller transformations.
It starts with a feeling that I can't explain, like something deeply emotional, that I feel the need to like work through, and I can't work through it through words or talking, so I need to visualize it, and then start coming up with an image. Then usually I move to photography for a reference photo, and then from that I'll start either painting or drawing out like based on the reference photo.
I usually start with kind of an idea when I begin a creative endeavor. I want to get a sort of atmosphere in my work, whether that be comedy, surrealism, or horror, creepiness, and I try and create characters and environments that suit that theme. And when once I've gathered all my footage, I piece it together scene by scene, focusing on pacing and transitions.
I'll just be like on a walk or having a bath, and I will think of something, and it'll be like fully in my head, and then I'll just like work to make that, and it'll end up like quite different. Other times I'll just like start doing things and see what happens and go from there.
I don't know. It comes very... I feel like a lot of my drawing starts really automatically. I don't think before I draw. I think I start drawing and then I think about what I want to draw after that. Because like the want to start drawing is the initial part. I don't have like a wish to create something specific first. That comes after I've started the process of... So yeah, I would say I warm up. I start drawing something, and then eventually I'll decide what either that drawing wants to become or something else that I want to make, or I look at part of that and I go, that's really interesting, I want to make more things like that, so then we make more drawings, right?